This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states.
Be enchanted this holiday season at Meadowlark's Winter Walk of Lights. Enjoy a leisurely half-mile walk along an elegant garden trail while sipping on a warm beverage with or without spirits. Be sure to capture memories along the way amidst a variety of sparkling holiday themes. Perfect for a date with your special someone, a night out with friends, or holiday fun with a family. Don't wait any longer. Capacity is limited and tickets will sell out. Reserve tickets for your preferred date today at winterwalkoflights.com. That's winterwalkoflights.com.
Doors closing.
Good evening, fellow commuters. You are now tuned to DJ Tony on the move. Tonight's forecast is mostly static, with a chance of Madonna if I can get this antenna straight. Every time I hit the blue line, she goes right back to static. Must be the ghosts in the signal.
Yeah, because that's the most logical explanation.
Hey, don't mock it. Chicago Transit is basically one big paranormal hotspot.
Y'all laugh now, but when Casey Kasem himself comes through this thing, you'll be begging me for the long-distance dedication.
I swear, this train is just one long late-night radio dial.
Yeah, except the commercials are scarier.
This is Tales from the Blue Line, my auditory anthology.
Don't knock the late-night radio vibe. It's prime time for ghost stories.
Ooh, the DJ who played Hotel California backwards and summoned Satan?
Not that kind. This one's about a DJ working his very first overnight shift alone in the studio. And let's just say he didn't stay alone for long.
So he got a request line from beyond the grave?
Not a call. A visitor.
The station was quiet in a way that didn't feel natural. During the day, the halls buzzed with reporters, producers, and salespeople yelling into phones. But at midnight, the only sound was the low hum of the transmitter and the occasional pop from the fluorescent lights overhead. Mark, fresh out of college, had been given the kind of glamorous assignment every rookie dreams about, the overnight shift at a mid-market AM station. 12 to 5, spinning oldies, reading weather updates, and praying not to mispronounce the mayor's name if news broke. As he walked into the control room, the veteran announcer from the evening shift was zipping up his jacket. "Good luck, kid. First night solo, huh?" Mark grinned, though his stomach fluttered. "Yeah, should be fine, right?" The announcer smirked, leaning against the doorframe. "Oh, you'll be fine. Just don't get rattled if things get weird. This place has its quirks after midnight." Mark laughed nervously. "Weird? How?" The announcer shrugged, already halfway out the door. "You'll see." And then he was gone, leaving Mark with nothing but the blinking red light of the on-air sign and the slow tick of the clock toward midnight. He took a seat, adjusted the mic, and queued up the first track. His voice cracked slightly as he leaned into the microphone. "Good evening, Chicago. You're spending the night with me, Mark Jensen, and the greatest hits of the 70s, 80s, and beyond. Let's kick it off." Mark leaned back, exhaling. The worst was over. He was on the air, alone, running the board like a real broadcaster. That was when he heard it. Not the music, not the transmitter hum, something else. He told himself it was nothing. Buildings made noises, pipes groaned, floors creaked. But as the song played on, Mark found himself glancing over his shoulder at the empty hallway, wondering what else the announcer had meant by quirks. By 1 a.m., the novelty had worn off. The playlist was rolling, the weather forecast had been read twice, and Mark had perfected the art of talking up to the post of every song. But the noises kept coming. First it was the faint thud of a door shutting somewhere down the hall. Mark froze, headphones halfway off, but when he peered into the corridor, the glass office doors stood open and still. Then it was voices, Not words exactly, it was more like the faint rise and fall of conversation bleeding in from the monitor speakers during a dead patch of air. He yanked his headphones off. Silence. The transmitter hummed on. The next record spun up. Mark forced a laugh at himself. "You're just jumpy. Everybody hears things in old buildings." Mark jolted upright. That hadn't come from the hallway. That had come from inside the control room. He turned in his chair. Nothing. Just the empty producer's desk, the clutter of copy paper, and the night beyond the windows. Then came the smell, sharp, metallic, and oddly familiar, like fresh solder and burnt coffee filters. Mark's fingers hovered over the mic switch, debating whether to keep talking, to fill the silence, to reassure himself with the sound of his own voice. But before he could, the studio door creaked open, and someone stepped inside. The man who stepped through the studio door looked like he belonged there, though Mark was sure he had never seen him before. He wore dark coveralls with a faded station logo stitched over the breast pocket, and he carried a small metal toolbox that rattled with each step. "Evening," the man said casually, as though dropping in on an old friend. "Name's Pete, station engineer." Mark blinked, standing halfway out of his chair. I didn't know anyone else was here tonight." Pete set down the toolbox with a metallic clank and surveyed the console. "You're new. First overnight's always the roughest. Everything creaks a little louder, shadows stretch a little longer." He gave a quick, almost conspiratorial grin. "The building likes to test you." Mark chuckled nervously. "Well, it's working. I thought I was losing my mind." Pete waved a hand. "Just the usual quirks, pipes, wiring, the ghosts of bad playlists past." He leaned in, lowering his voice. "Rule number 1, never trust the EAS test button. It'll fire off when you least expect it." Mark let out a shaky laugh. That's oddly specific." Pete nodded solemnly. "Rule number 2, vending machine out in the hall. It eats dollar bills like it's on commission. Stick with exact change." Mark eased back into his chair. The man's tone was calm, almost fatherly. He wasn't spooking him, he was mentoring him. Pete tapped the side of the board. "You'll do fine, kid, long as you remember the golden rule." Mark leaned in. "Which is?" Pete's grin widened. "Never date anyone who says they don't own a radio." Mark laughed for real this time. The tension drained from the room. Whoever this engineer was, he had a way of making the night feel less lonely. And so, between back-announcing tracks and reading the weather, Mark found himself listening as Pete rattled off not just broadcast tips, but little life lessons, too. The night stretched on, and Pete seemed in no hurry to leave. He perched on the edge of the producer's desk, toolbox at his side, spitting out stories and advice with the easy rhythm of a man who'd done this 100 times before. "See that turntable?" Pete pointed with his chin. "If it ever sticks, just slip a dime under the edge. Balances it right out. Nickel's too heavy, penny's too light, dime's the sweet spot." Mark scribbled the note down on a scrap of copy paper, half joking, half serious. "Back time in your segways?" Peter went on. "Do it like you back time your life. Leave just enough silence to matter, but not enough to make people nervous." Mark grinned. "That one feels a little more like philosophy than radio." Pete shrugged. "Best advice usually is." Between songs, the engineer rattled off a list of Chicago diners that served decent pancakes after midnight, explained how to jimmy the soda machine when it refused to take coins, and warned Mark that the third mic in Studio B had a personality all its own. At one point, he leaned in and said, "Kid, whatever you do, don't ever microwave fish in the break room. It's not just bad manners. That smell sticks to your career." Mark laughed so hard he nearly missed his cue to bring up the next record. The hours blurred together in the way only overnight shifts could. But with Pete there, offering his mix of practical fixes and life-worn wisdom, the building felt less empty, less haunted by creaks and shadows. For the first time all night, Mark wasn't afraid of the silence. By 4:30, the sky outside the studio windows had begun to gray, the night slowly loosening its grip. Mark queued up one last track, stretching and rubbing his eyes. Pete stood, brushing dust off his coveralls, toolbox in hand. "Time for me to make a round through the transmitter," he said matter-of-factly. "Always check your signal before the morning crew barges in. You'll remember that." Mark smiled, genuinely grateful. "Thanks, really, you made this a lot less terrifying." Peter gave a nod, placing a steady hand on Mark's shoulder. "You'll do fine, kid, just don't let the dead air scare you." And then he was gone, the studio door creaking shut behind him. Mark sat for a moment, basking in relief. The night had passed, he'd survived his first solo shift. But minutes later, when he got up to stretch his legs, he glanced down the hallway. Empty. No toolbox, no echo of footsteps. The transmitter room door at the end of the corridor was locked tight, the padlock glinting under the dim fluorescence. Pete had vanished without a sound. The morning host arrived a little before 5, cheerful in the way only people who never worked overnights could be. He found Mark bleary-eyed but buzzing, talking a mile a minute about the man who'd kept him company all night. "Pete, the engineer," Mark said, smiling. "Guy's a lifesaver, gave me a half a dozen tricks to keep this place running, even pointed me to a diner for pancakes." The host froze, his grin faltering. "Pete?" "Yeah," Mark said, nodding. "Coveralls, toolbox, kinda gruff but funny. He said he was checking the transmitter." The host leaned back against the doorframe, studying him. "Kid, Pete built this place. He was the chief engineer, but he died years ago, a heart attack, right there in the transmitter room." Mark laughed nervously, waiting for the punchline. But the host wasn't smiling. "Besides," he added, pointing to the wall, "only Pete ever carried those." Mark followed his gaze. On a small memorial plaque hung by the studio door was Pete's photo. His eyes twinkled behind thick glasses, a Diet Coke can clutched proudly in one hand. Mark's breath caught, because sitting on the console, beaded with condensation, was an unopened can of Diet Coke. The host frowned. "Where'd you get that?" Mark didn't answer. He couldn't.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states.
For 25 years, Brightview Senior Living Associates have been committed to creating a vibrant culture and delivering exceptional services, making Brightview a great place to work and live. If you're looking for a rewarding opportunity to serve your local community and grow, we want you to join our team. Brightview Senior Living is growing and actively seeking vibrant associates to join our community teams, including directors, healthcare, activities, hospitality, and dining. Apply today at careers.brightviewseniorliving.com. Equal employment opportunities. Text BV Jobs to 97211 to apply.
I'm not sure how I feel about you stealing the broadcast story shtick that I usually do, but I got to admit, if a ghost ever shows up to give me life advice, I hope he's that helpful.
Better than the ones who just slam doors and whisper your name in the dark.
Yeah, but you know he's still judging you, like, "Kid, your segues are sloppy and your coffee's weak."
Honestly, that sounds like half the engineers I've ever met, alive or otherwise.
Okay, that timing was way too perfect.
Relax, Mason. It's just Diet Coke.
Famous last words.
Tales from the Blue Line by Auditory Anthology is written and produced by me, Keith Conrad. Your narrator is Darren Marlar. Be sure to check out Darren's award-winning paranormal podcast, Weird Darkness, available at weirddarkness.com and your podcast app of choice. If you have a story you'd like to contribute to this series, you can do so by visiting submissions.soundconceptmedia.com or just follow the link in the show notes. You can also support the show by subscribing to our new Substack at auditoryanthology.substack.com. By becoming a paid subscriber, you'll help keep the stories coming. You'll also get every single episode completely commercial-free, and now you can also vote on which story will feature in upcoming episodes.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states.
Vrbo helps you swap gift wrap time for quality time. Go to Vrbo now and book a last-minute week-long stay. And save over $390 this holiday season. Book your next vacation rental home on Vrbo. Average savings $396. Select homes only.
There's talk in Washington about cuts to Medicare Advantage benefits that 35 million seniors count on. The No Upcode Act would raise costs for seniors and reduce their benefits. The No Upcode Act is a broken promise and a bad deal for seniors. Tell Congress, keep your promise and oppose cuts to Medicare. Vote no on the No Upcode Act.